DFS. Not easy being the fastest quarterback you've never seen. I'll be right back. There's no quicker way to get into DFS. Play Super Draft today and see for yourself.
Ladies and gentlemen, what's going on? Welcome into another edition of Third and Three. I am one of your hosts, Stephen Ray, and I would like to take this opportunity real quick to do something new that I'm going to start doing here on Third and Three every time we have something come up this spring, because you obviously know, living here in the South, that we have two primary tornado seasons. And so real quick, I wanted to make everybody aware, and if you are listening to this on the podcast, this, of course, is the brand new severe weather outlook that is supposed to come in on Thursday for Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, Missouri, and Kentucky. Now, the main focus is going to be across middle Mississippi into western Alabama. If you are west of the I-65 corridor in Alabama, which runs from Huntsville down to Montgomery, and Birmingham points off to the west, including Tuscaloosa, you guys are underneath the risk for damaging straight line winds and tornadoes. So I wanted to make you well aware of that, and please have multiple ways of receiving warnings during the day on Thursday, and in the morning I will do a much longer and detailed video to let you guys know about the severe weather potential coming up this Thursday afternoon and evening. So I wanted to make you guys well aware of that. But without further ado, let me go on ahead and pull up my other co-host. Joey, what's going on with you, my man?
I'm just happy to know that weather's going to hit me. Thank you,
it looks like it's going to stay. It's going to stay west of you, my friend.
That's good. I'm so happy. Anything else?
No, I'm good. Let's start the show, my man. Let's go.
All right, introduce Spencer.
So we actually have another special guest tonight. It is actually going to be the guy who is on Rolling with the Tide, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. the super fan of the CTS himself, Spencer. Spencer, how are you doing this evening, sir?
He's not a super fan. He is family now. He's part of the CTS. All right, Spencer, how you doing? Bring him on.
Digging holes in my backyard to start putting 55-gallon drums in there so I can get away from these tornadoes.
Yes.
Thank you, Steve, for letting me know this.
How are you doing tonight?
Doing wonderful, sir. Roll Tide.
Yes. Even though you are in the great state of Georgia, though.
Is Georgia really that great?
Alabama always will be.
Wait, hold on. Is Georgia really that great? Have you been to Georgia?
They won the championship, dude.
Okay, no, I'm talking about the state. Is it really that great?
That's beautiful. It is beautiful. Alabama's prettier, but yes, it is beautiful.
Yeah, Hartselle has my heart. I love Hartselle, Alabama. If you watching us in Hartselle, Alabama, I love you guys.
Hey guys, real quick,
no
y'all take over. Y'all take over for a second. I've got to share the show. I'll be back here in just a minute.
What do you think I'm doing?
What? Go ahead, Joey. What are you talking about now?
This is the problem with Steam, right? This is why we only got one person left right now. It's because he just takes off. Excuse me 1 second. I got to go and not multitask. I'm like, Sting.
Well, let me ask you this. Have you ever been to Gatlinburg, Tennessee?
Yes.
It's gorgeous up there, too.
2019.
all of the South is gorgeous. I don't care what state, it's gorgeous. Everybody needs to live in the South.
You never went to Pritchard, Alabama.
Yes, sir, I have. Actually,
and you call that
yes, I have
gorgeous?
had a job there. Yes.
Huh?
Well, beautiful. Let me go beautiful.
I wouldn't call it beautiful. I call it dangerous.
Well, so is Sand Mountain. It's dangerous too if you're not from there.
Every time I go
But
to
you still
Pritchard,
have a gorgeous mountain.
if you live in Pritchard, Alabama, and you survive, God bless you. I'm happy for you. I am happy for you because I've been to Pritchard 4 or 5 times working cases, and I tell you what, I never went without my gun. I'm like, damn.
Good Lord mighty. All right. Can you tell me a little bit about our guest tonight?
Well, sure. Let me pull up my notes. Okay, so we have Ben McDonald. He was the first pick in the Major League Baseball, first pick in the first round in the Major League Baseball draft.
Correct.
College Football Hall of Famer. Let's see, what else did he do? Oh, won gold medal in the Olympics. Played basketball at LSU. And played with the Oilers. And see, we got a comment right here. Ladies are prettier in Georgia. Oh, you ain't never lying. Now, the ladies are gorgeous, Katie. Cajun, whatever your name is. In Cajun, if you are single or your marriage ain't working out, please come see me in Alabama.
She is definitely a peach.
I like my peaches. With that said, so while Stingray is not doing anything, let's go ahead and talk about today's topics. Spencer, do you know how coaches get paid?
No, sir. Actually, I do not. I just thought it through the college's administration.
Okay. So so what happened, I think Thursday, Auburn did an investigation on the Brian Harsin rumors. And they investigated and they come up to the conclusion that Brian Harsin did nothing wrong. He didn't have any inappropriate relationships with anybody. And and I say I don't judge no man. Anybody that lives in a glass house, I don't throw stones. Okay, that's just not me. However, I do smell bull when I smell it. And I'm telling you, when I saw the press conference, the guy who was doing the press conference, I saw brown stuff all over his teeth.
That's what
I ain't lying. Now listen, my man Brian Harsin. Okay, there he is. He's happy because he's got his job. He's keeping his job. But here's the thing. This is what I'm just asking questions. I'm asking questions. What's so funny? This is a serious show.
Go ahead.
If you listen on podcast, I got a picture of Coach Harsin, and Spencer's laughing at him. Look, this is a serious show. So here's the thing. Yeah, you gotta be serious. This is a serious topic. I mean, this could ruin a man's life. So they did an investigation. They found that he did nothing wrong, so he gets to keep his job. Okay, my question is, because I'm just asking questions. That's what I do. I ask questions.
Right.
I don't know how coaches get paid, but I do know this. They paid $21 million to Gus Malzahn after they fired him. They picked this guy up. Auburn fans didn't even want him. They wanted somebody else. Then this happens. And they may have to get rid of him, which it was going to cost them $18 million to get rid of him. That's $39 million in 2 years. Plus, you got to go pay another coach, which you're not going to be able to afford a Coach O or a Jimbo Fisher or anything like that. You're going to have to go get a Brian Harsin, another Brian Harsin. Okay. So what I'm thinking is, my theory that Mr. Harsin here, the guy in the picture right here, may or may not. I think he may have had an inappropriate relationship with a young lady, which, hey, look, not my business. It came out, not my business. Ladies and gentlemen, a lot of people tell me all the time that, Joe, you shouldn't talk it. It's not my business if he did or didn't. But it did come out that he did. And I think Auburn is hiding the fact that he did have an inappropriate relationship, so they wouldn't have to pay him any money. Spencer, your thoughts?
Well, I really don't think they're hiding it. I think it's like, okay, we got $39 million now. Now we got to hire another coach, give them a protected buyout. And yes, we have money. Our people have great jobs and great businesses, and we got great backing. But good Lord, we're going to break the bank before it's over with.
I mean, yeah, you got great boosters. I mean, it's not. I mean, until they can get enough money to buy another Cam Newton, I mean, you're going to have good coaching. And you had a good coaching because, you know, the problem with Auburn is you actually had three great coaches: Tommy Tuberville,
Yes.
Gene Chizik, and Gus Malzahn.
Mhm.
Gus Malzahn took you to a national championship. Gene Chizik won you a national championship. And Tommy Tuberville was there for years. But this fool, hey, I'm sorry. Let me move him over. Hold on. I can't move him over. While you were gone playing Follow the Leader, we was talking about, I want to hear your input on Mr. Brian Harsin. You like his pictures right here in front of you.
Hold up 1 second on that one. Hold up 1 second on that one, because I've got to give Gus some kudos as much as I hate to do it, but that's the only coach that's ever been at Auburn. I can't say the word. Anyway, that
my speech impairment is rubbing off on you.
In Alabama that scared the H out of me when we played them, because you never knew what he was going to do. So I got to give him some kudos.
What was he going to do? Fart on the sidelines? Nobody was scared.
Call some trick play, whatever. You never knew what he was going to do. Anyway,
Ooh,
go ahead.
Go ahead. So, Sting, I want to hear your take on Mr. Brian Harsin. Did Auburn lie to save the butt?
No, I don't think so, because I trust the AD down there, and I think it was all made up based off of social media. I mean,
Did you just say you trust Auburn's athletic director? Did you really just say that? Did you really just say you trust Auburn's athletic director?
I do. I trust the athletic director because they came out and made a statement that said it was all made up on social media.
I got to see this face when you say that. Say that one more time.
If you don't have facts, quit throwing stones, man.
I'm not throwing. We're asking questions. We are not throwing. Spencer and I are not throwing stones. We're asking questions.
This comes from an LSU fan. Come on. Coach O.
Yeah, we're asking. We're asking questions, and the question is this: $39 million would have gone out. 21 went with Gus. 18 would have gone to Brian. They don't have enough money in the bank right now to give out to coaches. I don't know how they pay coaches. I just know $39 million is a lot of money for any program.
Yes.
So, and then you got to hire a new coach, and you're not going to have enough money to go get a Jimbo Fisher or Urban Meyer. You're gonna have to get another Brian Harsin.
Yes.
And right now, the Auburn program is exploding right now, and it's awful, and nobody can stop the bleeding. And when this happened, and you say you trust the Auburn athletic director and tell me that they're going to tell the truth, knowing that it's one of the most crooked football programs in the state of Alabama, more or less in the SEC, more or less in NCAA, are you crazy?
No, because they had a similar situation with Bruce Pearl. They kept him on, and you see how well the basketball program is doing down there right now. So getting off number one.
Whoa. So you saying they had a similar situation with Auburn's basketball team, and they kept him on?
Correct.
you
And it
trust the
was actually a little bit worse than that. And Bruce Pearl was actually suspended a couple of games.
So basically, you saying Auburn don't have no moral or values in their contract, no moral obligation in the
No, you didn't
contracts.
go.
Obviously not. Stingray said itself. We got to move on, ladies and gentlemen. I got a question for both of you guys. Who here can this coming up season, 2022, can knock off the SEC? And I got my theory. I'm gonna let Stingray go first because Stingray is the smart one in the group until he answered that question about Auburn. But go ahead, Sting. Who do you think can knock off Auburn and why? I mean, I'm sorry.
No,
my high school. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. If that's the case, my alma mater, Central High School, can knock out Auburn. But I'm just saying, my junior high school, South Gerard, can knock off Auburn. Okay, but anyway, what football team in 2022 outside the SEC can knock off the SEC?
Okay, I'm going to take a long way around to get to this. Oklahoma lost Caleb Williams and their coach. Oregon lost their coach to Miami. Okay, Clemson lost Brett Venables to Oklahoma. USC has to rebuild now with Lincoln Riley. Okay, Michigan lost a ton on defense. Agent Hutchinson and a lot of other guys are gone. So in my mind, there is only one team out there that literally could knock off the SEC, and that is no. But they do play in the same conference as them. I am going Ryan Day's bunch out of Columbus, Ohio, the Ohio State Buckeyes. They now, with all of the coaching changes, they have the best shot of anybody to do it.
So I want to go ahead and break the third wall for everybody. In pre-production, we answered this question. And I said, Sting, what team do you think is going to knock off the SEC? So I can, so we can add the picture up and get ready. What does Stingray do? Right on the middle of the show, he says, no, not Michigan State. Even though we loaded that picture up, I sat there and asked you, I said, who do you think is going to – and I loaded the picture up. So when you said Michigan State, if you listen to a podcast, it's not going to make no sense. I loaded the picture up, have it ready, make it look good, and you say, no, Ohio State.
I got proof right here, buddy. You asked me.
I got proof too. It said Michigan State.
Sting.
Well, you know what? Now, why? No. So since this is going to be a professional podcast, so you tell me why Michigan State can knock off the SEC. Because you said Michigan State.
Actually, you asked me to give you a team that could knock off the SEC. I told you Michigan State.
I know. I got my pick.
Well, then go ahead.
All right, ladies.
Tell me why Michigan State can knock off the SEC.
Because they have a really good football team along with the Ohio State Buckeyes. I don't think Michigan is going to repeat. So
Stingray picks Michigan State. Forget the Ohio State thing. He didn't mean it. My pick.
No, I'm in it.
My pick, and it's funny that I got my man behind me, Clemson Tom. I am picking Clemson. Now here's why. They really didn't have that bad of a season. Okay. They went 10-3. They're going to have help with Cade Kublik coming in. I think he's a 5-star quarterback. So they're going to have a good quarterback competition. They got Brandon Sweetie coming in to run the offense. And let's face it, Clemson has a history of knocking off SEC teams. I mean, I don't know what they are. Last time I checked, they were 18-9 against SEC teams under Dabo Swinney. He's got 2 national championships. He played in the SEC. I wasn't finished with that. Can you stop that? Stop that. Leave it alone.
I did.
I'm talking. So, yeah, I got Dabo Swinney. I'm taking Clemson to if anybody can knock out the SEC, and you got to understand you're gonna have some very powerful teams in the SEC. We got LSU. It's gonna be a dominant team. You got Georgia you got Alabama, who's going to be a dominant team. I'm picking Alabama. Yes, sir. I'm doing it again. I'm picking Alabama to go all the way again this year. I'm picking Alabama to go all the way this year. Came close. They went all the way to the national championship. People could all was crazy. Now they're older. They're ready to play, and they're hungry. The only thing is bad that we got rid of Brian Robinson because he's going to the draft. But other than that, hey, we still got 20 other running backs that can beat any running back in NCAA football. Our recruitment is number one. So you got
Spencer,
LSU.
Let's go to you, my man.
Hold on. You got LSU.
No,
hold on. I'm not
finished.
I got LSU. You got LSU. You got LSU. You got Texas A&M. You got Alabama. You got Georgia. You got Florida.
And our guest is waiting.
Well, hold on. Well, he's going to wait because you kept interrupting. So it's not like the SEC is not going to be a tough conference. But if any team can do it, it's going to be Clemson and our Stingrays pick Michigan State. You got
none of them. And I will even let me back up with what both of y'all said. And I love Stingray to death. He's going with that MI State team that they'll have a hard time beating Vandy this year. But besides that, it's like, okay, if you're going to go bring in Oklahoma in here, which is now the new USC, since he took about all the coaching, all the players over there. So you actually got two Oklahoma teams this year. And neither one of them is going to do anything, in my opinion. And on Mr. Joy, your Clemson, nah.
I didn't say they will do it. I said they could do it.
I'm just saying, okay. Now you're going to interrupt me. I say I ain't going to be here. But anyway, I'm just saying, joking. I'm joking. Anyway, the bottom line is here, we're not talking who can knock off a team. We're talking about who's going to knock us out of the championship playoff games. They ain't won. We're there. I don't care if it's us, Georgia, whoever makes it. There ain't nobody else out there going to keep us from winning another natty.
Let me also say this too.
Yes, sir.
Now let's do a segue into baseball. Got an SEC champion and a national champion in football. And last year, the Diamond Dogs of Mississippi State finally won their first national championship in baseball as well. Now we are bringing on an LSU legend, Ben McDonald, to talk about the Diamond this year as at the SEC. And everybody, the first pitch of the opening weekend is going to be this Friday. Ladies and gentlemen,
that's how you're going to introduce him?
How are you doing,
introduce
sir?
him? Whoa. I'm going to introduce a legend just like that. Look, first pick in the 1989 Major League Baseball draft. Gold medalist in the Olympics. What else?
Long time ago.
10-year Major League Baseball veteran. What did I miss? Oh, college baseball Hall of Famer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. Yes.
McDonald.
There you go.
Now that's how you
go.
introduce somebody. Yeah.
I can't believe y'all having that conversation about football. I guess we're so far away from football, I can't even see that far. I'm trying to talk about baseball. I mean, it's the start of football season just ended. Who cares? Who cares?
There you go, man.
Let's talk about some baseball. That's what's about to kick off, man. I'm excited. I'm excited about SEC baseball. I mean, it continues like SEC football, if you will, is the number one conference there is in baseball. And I think there's 4 of the top 5 in the country preseason, and 6 out of the top 10 are all SEC schools, you know. So good for the SEC. I know preseason rankings don't mean a whole lot, but I tell you what, if we go off of what we've seen the last couple of years in the preseason rankings, it does mean a little bit. And the SEC West is going to be a monster again with Arkansas and Mississippi State and Ole Miss. And of course, LSU projected with a new coach this year to finish 4th in the West with 3 first-round draft picks in their lineup this year. That's how tough the SEC is this year. And so to give you an idea, but it's going to be an exciting year. It's going to be a gauntlet as always. Vanderbilt is up there in the East. Of course, Florida's over there too. They're going to have an outstanding year as well. So looking forward to college baseball.
Real quick,
because you got the educated questions. So I'm going to get the stupid questions out of the way. I go first. Well, I got 2 questions, and then everybody else because I'm not gonna lie to you, Ben, because you're such a legend. There's no point lying to you. I'm not a real baseball fan. However, when Stingray told me Ben McDonald, LSU's all-time leading pitcher, gold medalist, one of the greats of college baseball. I got football in mind. I said, you know what? I can ask some questions about some baseball.
There you go.
What was it like to be for the first pick in 1989, the very first pick?
It was a relief, first of all. I'd spent the summer of '88 on the Olympic team, and I was an underclassman going back to school, whereas all the older classmen, like Andy Bennis was the number 1 pick in '88. He was my roommate. Jim Abbott was like the 4th pick in the country. Ventura was up there. A lot of great players that had really good big league careers were going on to play pro ball, but I was going back to LSU. And after I had the summer that I had on that Olympic team, I go back to school, and before the season even started, like it's football season, and they're saying McDonald's going to be the number 1 pick in the country next year as long as he stays healthy. So there was a lot of expectations, a lot to live up to for every one of my starts that I went out there. And so I didn't really get to enjoy my junior year like I wanted to, because I felt like I was always trying to live up to being potentially the number 1 pick in the country, which is what everybody tabbed me for. So to be honest with you, when the College World Series rolled around and we made it there, and the draft used to be right in the middle of the College World Series. And so once it actually came to pass and they called my name as the number 1 pick in the country, it was a relief more than it was anything to say, okay, that's finally over with now. Now let's try to win a national title in baseball.
Now, according to your Wikipedia page, you play basketball as well, correct?
Yes. Now, yeah. A lot of people don't know that. A lot of people don't know that I actually went to LSU on a basketball scholarship. Yeah, I went to school. I was actually more heavily recruited out of high school to play basketball than I was baseball. And was very fortunate to play for Dale Brown for a year and a half. And we went to the Elite 8 in basketball in the March Madness my freshman year, and then got to experience the College World Series my freshman year in baseball. So not many kids get to do that their freshman year and be on both sides of it. But, yeah, I loved basketball. But, listen, I'll tell you a funny story. I got over to LSU, and the boys could actually dribble the ball up the court faster than I could run. And I knew that at some point that probably baseball was going to win out, and it certainly did after a year and a half.
So my final question, with basketball and everything, yes, Cajun, SEC ladies softball is bad to the bone too. We agree. We just talked about Mississippi State winning a national championship in ladies softball. So congratulations to the SEC and Mississippi State. Why are you shaking your head? Why are you shaking your head, Sting? I gave love to Mississippi State,
bro. They won in baseball, not softball.
Mississippi State baseball, Mississippi State softball, Mississippi State sports is all soft. Don't worry about it. Anyway,
they gonna find. Look, I'm just gonna tell you right now. Them folks at Mississippi State, they love them some baseball. They gonna find you if you keep talking about them like that. Now, I'm just warning you right now. They gonna find you.
I tell you what, everybody is in Mississippi State, and you want to come find me, I live in Ohio.
They will find you. Hey, on a serious note, did y'all see where Mississippi State sold over 13,000 season tickets for baseball this year?
You are so correct. Tickets. Yes, they did.
I mean, that's crazy. I mean, that is a crazy, crazy number.
You would think you'd find something better to spend your money on, but okay. My last question. Some great basketball players come out of LSU, 2 in particular, Pistol Pete Melvich and Shaquille O'Neal. Who do you think, besides Big McDonald was the greatest basketball player to ever come out of LSU?
Look, I'm not worthy of that conversation being in the basketball conversation. I can tell you that. There's a handful of guys. Before there was Pete Maravich, there was a guy by the name of Bob Pettit. And Bob Pettit was one of the top NBA players of all time. That's how good he was. And, of course, there was Pistol Pete, which there's nobody better than Pistol Pete. He still holds, all kind of records. There wasn't a three-point line, obviously, when he played. He still averaged 44 points a game for his career. If there had been a three-point line, he probably would have averaged 50 or 55 a game. Don't forget about Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf, who used to be Chris Jackson when he was there. Chris Jackson averaged 30 points a game as a freshman, and he still holds that record. As an
he played for the Nuggets, right?
Played for the Nuggets. He sure did, and played another 13 or 14 years overseas after all that stuff happened, whatever. Yes. But there's been some great basketball players. But I think those four, when you talk about Bob Pettit, Pete Maravich, Chris Jackson, Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf, and Shaquille O'Neal, just four difference makers when it comes to basketball. So I think that's probably the best four. Been a lot of really good players come through, NBA caliber players, John Williams and others. But I think those are the top four when you talk about the history of LSU basketball.
All right. Well, I've got like 5 or 6 questions about baseball.
All right.
So let's start last year, because I was actually texting you the day of the game. You've obviously covered a lot of World Series. What were your thoughts about seeing Mississippi State, who usually gets there but comes up short, finally getting over the hump and winning their first national title?
Well, long time coming. And Stingray, I'm a big Mississippi State fan. I always have been. I was fortunate enough out of high school to go anywhere I wanted to play basketball and baseball. And my 3 schools I visited was, of course, LSU, which I can see the lights of the stadium from here almost. That's the reason why I stayed here. It's just hard to get away, They give you 2 things in Louisiana when you're born. They give you a shotgun to hunt with, they give you an LSU T-shirt. That's what you get when you're born, But I visited Mississippi State, and I visited the University of Texas. That's how serious I was about Mississippi State. I love Ron Polk to this day. He was the coach at Mississippi State. Bob Boyd was the basketball coach. John Brady was the assistant basketball coach. They all 3 came down to my house right across the street where Mom and Dad still live right now, and they came to recruit me. And Mississippi State recruited me harder than any other program did. And thought seriously about going, but it was just hard. At the end of the day, when you grow up going to LSU basketball, baseball, and football games from the time you were 5 years old, it's hard to get away. And I was thinking about it hard, and LSU hired some guy by the name of Skip Bertman to take over the baseball program. Nobody really around here knew who he was. And then my senior year in high school, they go to the College World Series for the first time, and I go, okay, maybe this Bertman guy is going to be okay. I guess I'll stay here in Baton Rouge, and I'll play for the Tigers in Baton Rouge. Little did we know he would become one of the best, if not the greatest, college coach of all time. Totally redid the game of college baseball, winning 5 national titles in 9 years, and we'll never see that done again. And so ended up making it a good choice for me. But Mississippi State's always held a special place in my heart. And I tell you, it was good to see. And I had a quote, and it just came from my brain, but that championship, it wasn't just about that 2021 team. To me, it was about every athlete that ever put on the maroon and white, who ever wore a Mississippi State uniform. It was about every fan. It was about every fan that had ever attended a Mississippi State sporting event, because it was their first. It was their first national title in any sport. And I'm on record saying it's not going to be their last either. Trust me. What they've built at Mississippi State right now is special. It rivals anything in college baseball. It's an arms race in the SEC, and you guys know it right now. Mississippi State has built the program, and it's built the stadium now. Arkansas just built a $60 million indoor facility behind right field. Ole Miss just put $40 million into their stadium 5 years ago. They're putting another $35 million in this year, and then, of course, Florida's got a brand new ballpark. LSU's trying to do some new things. So it's an arm race in the SEC right now with that. But I'm happy for Mississippi State. I'm happy for John Cohen. I'm happy for, of course, Ron Polk. Palomero, Thigpen, Brantley, all the guys that's ever wore those uniforms. I'm happy for them. And, I'll go back to, I know how important Will Clark and Palomero and those guys are, but I'm going to tell you this right now. I think Jake Mangum 6 or 7 years ago totally reversed the course of Mississippi State baseball. I think they're going to eventually build a statue of that young man out there because not that he's a great pro prospect, I hope he makes it to the big leagues, but he's never going to be a Will Clark or a Palomero to have that kind of impact at professional level. But what he impacted at Mississippi State, turning that program around, being gritty and gutsy for the others to come along behind him, for the Tanner Allens who came behind him, who was the gritty guy last year. Jake Mangum, that championship was for him too, because in some ways he was a stepping stone to help build that championship.
Yes. Well, now that they've got the championship, they're going to get everybody's best game this year because they are the team to beat. Where do you ultimately see them ending up, and can they repeat this year?
Great question. I wouldn't count them out for sure. They did lose. I mean, when you lose Rowdy Jordan and you lose Tanner Allen, that's your leadership. That's a big chunk. Having said that, Logan Tanner, the catcher, I love that kid. Like, that kid is the next one. Like, he's projected to be a first rounder, but he brings that grittiness. He brings that not cocky, I want to say swagger, confidence. And that's what's different about Mississippi State the last 5 or 6 years is, like, they ain't going to be stepped on no more. Like they ain't nobody's stepping stones anymore. Like, they stepping on people, and they realize they can do that now. It's a different feel now. Kellum Clark, who you guys know, I coached in summer ball for 4 or 5 years. I love that kid. I think he's a superstar. I think Kellum Clark's a big leaguer. So there are some pieces of the puzzle there. I think there's a lot of question marks with Mississippi State where there wasn't that many question marks last year. They had one of the deepest pitching staffs around. They've lost some guys in that department. They've lost some position players. But look, everybody has. And I'll say this like I've been telling everybody in the SEC. Last year I felt like the Southeastern Conference was going to be pitcher dominated. We knew about Kumar Rocker. We knew about Jack Leiter. We knew about Hoagland over at Mississippi State and Nikhazy, or at Ole Miss rather, than Nikhazy at Ole Miss, and some others. We knew, but this year, like, it doesn't feel like there's a real aces out there. Peyton Paulette from Arkansas got hurt the other day. He's out for the season. Blake Tidwell, the first rounder for Tennessee, is out right now with a shoulder issue. It feels like it's a very offensive league to me this year. And so it's hard for me to handicap. I know Ole Miss is right there because they bring that. They return their entire starting lineup as Ole Miss. So and look, it was an offense that was number one in the SEC last year, and they didn't lose anybody. And so you got to think that they're probably the favorites because they can really swing it. But then again, I question some of their pitching too, just like I questioned LSU's pitching. I don't question the offense. I think they're going to score runs, but I just wonder, the teams that their pitchers emerge, I think, are the ones that's really going to have a shot to win this thing this year. But when you start talking about, LSU, Arkansas, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, all 4 of those teams in the West, all in the top 7 or 8 preseason right now, who knows what's going to happen. I think it's going to be the team that stays healthy, and I think it's also going to be the team where their pitchers begin to emerge a little bit and start to match that offense that some of these teams are going to create this year.
Well, what do you think about the team in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, under Brad Bohanna? How do you think that they shape out with the tough SEC West?
I love Bo. Bo's trying hard over there, and he's recruiting hard. Connor Prelip, as you guys know, got hurt last year. And look, he was a first rounder. Matter of fact, he was projected when the season began last year before he got hurt that he potentially could be the number 1 pick in the country. That's how good he was. And of course, he's coming back from Tommy John surgery. I don't know that he gets back this year. I don't know what his timetable is. Maybe he gets back the second half of the season. I know D1 Baseball's got Alabama finished last in the West this year, but they have some pieces there. They do. Now, to say that those pieces can compete day in and day out with the Ole Misses and the Mississippi States and the LSUs of the world, I don't know that to be true. But I know this. Brad's team is going to play hard every time out, and they're going to surprise some people. And again, can they stay healthy? Because they got a pretty good lineup, and they got some pretty good dudes, but they're the kind of team that doesn't have the depth. In other words, if they lose like a shortstop or a starting pitcher, they are going to be hard for those guys to recover, whereas maybe an Ole Miss or Mississippi State has something waiting in the wings that they can bring in. I don't think Alabama has that kind of depth. But if you know anything about Coach Bo, it's going to be wide open. He's going to give you everything he's got because they're known for their really good starts the last few years in non-conference and then kind of fading a little bit in conference play. But I expect them to be a little bit more experienced like a lot of these teams. They're going to be somebody to be reckoned with, and every weekend anybody can beat anybody.
That is true.
All right, I've got 2 more questions for you, and then we'll turn it over to Spencer. Let's go back to your major league days. This question comes in from my buddy David Patterson. Who was the toughest Major League Baseball hitter you ever faced?
Unfortunately, there were many, Stingray. No, I was a reverse splits guy. So, like, I was right-handed, but I got left-handers out better than I did right-handers for 9 of the 10 years in the big leagues that I pitched. So I would almost pitch around a righty sometimes to face a lefty. So the hardest guys for me to get out, Joe Carter with Toronto was just hell on me. It almost seemed like I could just never get ahead of him. He was a great fastball hitter, pretty good hitter in his right too. And a guy by the name over at Auburn by the name of Frank Thomas, he was pretty good too. And he was one of those guys that you didn't want to fall behind either. And he could hurt you a little bit too. Ricky Henderson gave me some fits for a while. And it was tough for me to get Ricky out as well, So it's always certain players that you have a hard time, no matter what uniforms they put on, you have a hard time getting them. They just don't match your eye. And it just seems like you just, for whatever reason, can't get ahead of them. But I would put those 3 guys up there with anybody I faced in the big leagues as far as hard for me to get out.
Okay. And my last question for you is this. I'm sure that you have a lot of great stories from your major league days, but what is your all-time favorite funny story to tell about your time in the major leagues?
Wow. I guess one of my favorite stories is we used to go to it was Minnesota. It was the old Metrodome. The old Metrodome, they don't even have it anymore. They built a new ballpark there. But one of our favorite trips in, of course, I played with Cal Ripken, the Iron Man. And one of our favorite trips in is like a night game after everybody went home. Me and Cal and his brother Billy would stay, and we would play the clubhouse kids. It was like 3 clubhouse guys in there. And we would go out onto the field and pull a cooler of beer out to second base. And we would bat from second base back towards home plate where the big screen was. And here's a funny story for you. So Cal, everybody knows, played 2,600 and something consecutive games, broke Lou Gehrig's record. But that was a night game that night. We had a day game on Sunday the next day. And the game didn't get – we literally drug a cooler of beer out there. I don't know how many beers. Like, we could have covered up the Kingdome or the Metrodome in beers, how many beer cans were out on the field at the time. Well, the game broke up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and we had a noon game the next day. And Junior had a few beers, and I'd had a few beers too. So the clubhouse kids start barking at Billy, his brother, going, y'all are facing Frank Viola, who won the Cy Young Award the year before, tomorrow in like 6 hours. Like, your brother, there's no way he can even see straight. Like, there's no way he gets a hit off Frankie Viola. And Billy says, I tell you what, I'll bet y'all $500 my brother gets 2 hits off Frank Viola tomorrow. And the kids were like, I call them kids. They were 19, 22-year-old kids. They go, you're on. Your brother can't hit his ass right now, much less Frank Viola. So somehow we go home, get back to the hotel, sleep for like 2 hours, 3 hours. I ain't got to pitch the next day because I had pitched that night. But Junior's got to play. Well, we get up. I'm out there at BP just trying to catch balls, not letting one hit me in the face, and I'm throwing it back in, and Cal's getting ready to play. Sure enough, Cal goes 2 for 4 off Frankie Viola and hits a 3-run home run, and we win the ball game. And that was probably the funniest thing I'd ever seen. I was like, you really are the Iron Man. Like, you're not human to be able to go out there and do the things that I see you do. So that was a pretty funny story for me. A cool story just to witness it more than anything.
Well, sir, I got just a couple personal questions for you that I'm just curious about me personally.
All right.
Number one would be, your experience in baseball when you're getting ready for a game, you're doing your studying, drinking your beer, whatever you're doing to get ready for a game. How, if any, has that helped you to get prepared for doing a broadcast show? Can you change any of that over on studying or film or whatever to do your broadcast shows?
So how I prepared to pitch a ball game versus how I prepared to actually call a ball game.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I mean, no, I do. I looked at film back then. Of course, we had VHS tapes, the film that we looked at back when I was playing. And so you know about VHS.
Yes, sir.
And I do break down some film and look at some film with some pictures to be able to kind of see what their repertoire is, what kind of pitches they throw mechanically, maybe where they're really good and where they're not, and some things for me to look for during a ball game. Those are about the only things I would say that are similar to what I do. Well, that and trying to visit with as many people. So I used to visit with the pitching coach and the catchers about how we wanted to attack each hitter and have a game plan before the game. I visit with coaches now for different reasons and other players to try to get a feel for, okay, tell me what Kumar Rocker's going to do tonight. Like when you faced him, what kind of stuff did he show you, you know?
Right.
And so it's more about talking and trying to figure it out right now on my end. But at the end of the day, for me, it's trying to explain to the audience in the most uncomplicated way what's going on in the baseball game. That's and you talk about preparing. That's what I'm doing now. I've been getting ready for LSU and Maine, which I have on Friday night. So I'm taking down notes. I've been looking at some Maine stuff. I got my computer out right here. So I'm starting to write some things down on my scorecard right now just to get ready for Friday night. Because my mom and dad taught me a long time ago, said, how you do anything is how you do everything. And so I try to be as prepared as I was to pitch a baseball game, both mentally and physically. I want to be that prepared when I call a baseball game too, because it matters to me and I want to be good at it. And I want the fans to enjoy it. It's not about me. I want to be able to explain to them what's going on into a ball game in a very simple way. And I didn't set out to do this. I got kind of thrown into doing it. I didn't even keep score when I first started doing it. It was Skip Burton that got me involved. And he said, "Oh, you'd be good." And I was like, "Coach, I didn't even graduate from college. Like I went 5 semesters and I took off to LSU. I don't have a college degree." And he's like, "Has nothing to do with it, son." He said, "You know the game of baseball. Go explain it to people." And like my second year of doing this for Fox Sports Television, just doing LSU games only way before there was even an SEC network, I ran into an old lady in Walmart. She came up to me. She said, "You're so-and-so." I was like, "Yes, ma'am, I am." She said, "I like listening to you call a baseball game." And I was like, "Really?" I said, "Well, tell me why. What do you like about what I do?" And she goes, "You keep it simple." She said, I don't watch much baseball, but when you talk about the game of baseball, I understand what you're saying. It makes sense to me. I went, "That is a great point." I said, "I'm always going to remember that because I may bore the person that watches it all the time, but I'm trying to draw in people that are flipping through the channels like, oh, what's going on TV today? Oh, that sounds pretty interesting. I may stick with this." So if there's always somebody new out there that you can draw into the game of baseball, that's the person I'm out there for, you know? And so I like to have fun. I always tell the people at the SEC Network and the Orioles is, look, I'm going to cut up. I'm going to have some fun because baseball is a fun game. I don't want to make this a job because when it comes a job to me, then I don't want to do it no more. Like I want to keep it fun and I want to entertain some people and I want to have fun doing it and calling a game of baseball. And look, I'm blessed to do it in the SEC. It's the grandest baseball conference out there. And so it's fun for me to go do it. And I get to do 84 Oriole games a year too, which really keeps me running. So I get to see the big boys play too. So that makes it fun.
And be perfectly honest with you, sir, after watching your career, because I'm an old man, after watching your career, a few little interviews you did and just checking on things, I would not expected a better answer than you just gave to that question.
I appreciate you saying. Look, I'm just old country boy. I'm just old country boy, and I tell people all the time, there's 2 seasons for me. There's baseball season and there's hunting season. That's the only 2 seasons I got in my life right now. and one runs right into the other. And that's all I do, man. That's all I do.
That is my point. That's who I thought you were in my mind. And
Well,
you just
look.
proved it. And it's such an honor to meet you. I am kind of tongue-tied and starstruck right now. I'm going to have to turn it back over to Stingray. Thank you so
I appreciate you saying that.
Having time to talk to you, sir. Thank
you. Thank you.
All right. So my parting question to you is this. Okay. And I hope Joey doesn't get upset about this, but in his conversations with me, he has said numerous times, nobody cares about college baseball. So,
Steve, whoa. No, stop right there. Stop right there. No.
Oh
No. I never said that. I never one time said that. Finish up your question, Ben. If I didn't, I'm part owner of this. If I didn't care about college baseball, if I felt like nobody cared about college baseball, we wouldn't even talk about college baseball. So somebody's taking words out of my mouth and rearranging them. So go ahead and finish your little comment, and then we gotta let Ben go because you're lying. Go ahead.
Okay. So with the people who say that we don't care about college baseball, you go all around the SEC, you go to Omaha. Obviously, in the SEC, football is number one. But would you rank SEC baseball number 2? Has it jumped over basketball yet?
I wouldn't say it's jumped over basketball yet from a revenue point. If you're talking about money, it hadn't, because March Madness brings a ton of money in. Now you could make the argument certain schools that are out there in the SEC, baseball is bigger than basketball with some schools that are out there in the SEC as far as attention goes. But it's hard to beat the TV package that March Madness brings to the NCAA. It's hard to beat those kinds of things that are out there. And look, I love March Madness. I got to experience it a little bit. It's an exciting time. There's no doubt about it. But the good news for our game of baseball, guys, is it continues to grow. And it continues to grow in leaps and bounds, and that's a positive thing. And I hope some of the NCAA people are out there listening to us tonight, or it gets word back to them. But it is time for the NCAA to step up and treat baseball like the growing sport that it is. It is absolutely ridiculous to have 11.7 scholarships. It's absolutely ridiculous to have only 2 full-time assistant coaches on a staff. It has been overlooked by the NCAA for too many years now, and it's time for the NCAA to step up and take notice and say, you know what, this is a growing sport. It is a revenue maker for us when we get to the postseason. Let's treat it as such. And so that's my hope for college baseball, is that the NCAA will finally step up to the plate and do something positive for college baseball.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, there he is, the one and only Ben McDonald. Ben, we really want to thank you for joining us this evening. And real quick, I want to ask you, obviously, baseball starts on Friday. However, the SEC slate starts a little bit later on. Before the SEC slate starts, will you come back and join us again?
Man, I love talking to you guys. Y'all my kind of people, man. I can relate, and I'll come talk to y'all anytime y'all want to. So just holler at me, Stingray, and I'll be glad to come and join y'all for sure, give you a little update about what I'm seeing. I'm probably only going to see LSU early than what I can watch on digital, but I am going to cover LSU 5 or 6 times, time to kind of get a feel for what they have. But, yeah, I'll be glad to come back and join you guys again.
Well,
sure enough.
Well, man, be safe and enjoy your Tigers this Friday night against Maine, my friend.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Stingray. Appreciate y'all. Good talking to you.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you, sir. Thank you.
Nice meeting you.
Well, ladies and gentlemen.
Stingray, what the hell is your problem?
Starstruck.
No, he's like, oh, well, Joey, look here. I want to tell you something. Joey says college baseball suck. And you know what? He said not only did college baseball suck, your profession sucks. Joey, over there.
Stingray did a snap on you.
I was like, God, Sting. Anyway, so go ahead and tell us what's going on this Thursday at Rolling with the Tide, Spencer, because I'm not speaking to Stingray.
Please.
Well, basically, what I would love to let everybody know that I'm so pumped and excited about, on Thursday night, we have our very first responder dedication of the show. I ain't gonna spoil who it is tonight. Y'all gonna have to tune in on Thursday. But we got our first one, true hero, and please, if y'all get a chance, check it out. If not, look at the replays. It's an awesome man. He did an awesome job, and I appreciate y'all showing up.
All right, and who are we gonna have on the show, Spencer? Oh, we don't know because our booker hasn't done his job, Stingray. It's gonna front me out.
We might have Stingray.
Actually, you said you were going to take over Rolling with a Tide.
I said I would help. Help. I don't have the connections you have.
Okay. Well, I can always come up with somebody.
Yeah. Call me
No,
Joe.
y'all didn't just say that.
I love you, Stingray. Stingray.
I know y'all messing with us. I know y'all getting ready to hook us up with the best guest in the world for Thursday night. I know y'all are. Y'all just messing with us.
Stingray, put your hand right. Yeah, touch my hand. You feel my hand? Yeah, that's it, Stingray. You got calluses.
I know, man.
I'm sorry.
I work with my hands, buddy.
Well, yeah, all that money you counting gives you calluses. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Spencer. This is the legendary internet sensation Stingray. My $100 blinds are right behind me, but you can't see it because I got Clemson Tom's ugly mug behind me. Ladies and gentlemen, this was 3rd and 3. Next week, please come back, watch us. If you watching us on Twitter, follow us on Twitter. If you watching us on YouTube, subscribe, like or comment. Hold on, Sting. Comment or like it, comment. Do whatever you want. I got some comments saying that, the Alabama guy's a chump and get him off. Hey, I tell you what, Scott, why don't you come say that to my face? I'll see your comment. And with that said, on Facebook, please follow us and like us on Facebook. And Stingray closes out.
All right. Next week on 3rd and 3, we are actually going to have a former Mississippi State running back, Ladarius Perkins, will join us live on 3rd and 3 next week. So Mississippi State fans, make sure you tune in next week for Ladarius Perkins and what he's doing now.
That's awesome because I love Mississippi State sports. Good night, y'all.
Good night. Love y'all.